I realize I need to be responsible for my actions, but I am hoping you will have mercy. I would wear an ankle bracelet and county jail for the rest of my life if I could just go home to my family.
Yeah, right. That Joyce Miller. And she's asking the court for leniency. Now, let's just remember, she, of course, was the woman who helped convicted killers Richard Matt and Dave Sweet escape from an upstate New York prison this summer. Mitchell, she reached a plea deal. She got a 7-year sentence, but she may only serve 2 years. The judge said she got what she deserved.
While you express remorse for the harm you caused the community, you also stated that you believe the negotiated sentence is too harsh. I can assure you, you have nothing to complain about.
Yeah, I think he's putting it politely. So could an emotional plea to the court, like what Mitchell did, actually hurt the defendant more than it helps? And before we get into performances, I'm sure you've all had clients where you're going, oh my God, what are they doing? You know, that's not what we worked out here before they go on the stand. Before we even get to that, Jimmy, 2 years, even 7 years? I mean, again, these are two murderers. By the way, we, the taxpayers in New York State here, shelled out $23 million when it was all said and done. All the dislocation, all the services that got put towards this instead of other things, the potential threat to civilians here for guys that are already convicted killers with very little to lose on the land. And if you believe the accounts, there was a condition that she was supposed to meet him so that they were going to go whack her husband, the same family she loves so much. Point being, she got off really easy.
I couldn't agree more. I'm sure that there was something going on where, for whatever reason, she did what she did, whatever excuse she has. But it's as you said, these two guys that she knew were convicted killers, that she knew were so dangerous and sociopathic, she helped get out of jail. Either one of those guys would have killed anybody they came across, including any of the officers that were committed to finding them, in a snap, in a heartbeat. She got off, I think, as easy as you could possibly imagine. And I don't think she's going to be released in 2 years. She got 2 1/3 to 7. They can hold her for up to 2/3 of that 7. I just cannot imagine the parole board letting her out early.
And so for me, even if she got 4 to 5 years, even that's easy. But Doug, the weeping there, and we don't have time to show you the entire plea, but she repeatedly said, I'm not a bad person. Well, I don't know what is, right? But she said she's not a bad person. She was willing to wear an ankle bracelet, coming off completely, forget about unsympathetic to me, completely, non-remorseful for what actually happened. She was remorseful that she got caught, but she obviously didn't think that what she did was that bad, if she thought she should just go home and throw a bracelet on her ankle, because she said she never did it before. I don't know how many times you're supposed to release inmates here that you've had to forget about improper relations, but you break them out of prison, like I only did it once. That seems like a pretty high threshold, but if you don't think your client's going to do you any good, do you forget about even throwing yourself at the court? Do you just keep them away because they could do more harm than good?
I mean, if they're going to say something in front of the court?
Well, if you see them and you obviously, before they get out there, you're going to coach your client, you're going to go over the statements they're going to make, whether it's through testimony or in this case, making an appeal to the court for leniency, is a certain point where you say, just keep them off the stand.
Well, listen, if somebody's a party to a lawsuit and they want to tell their story, as a lawyer, it's very difficult to tell them not to, because at some point they're going to say, my lawyer told me not to tell what I have to say. I mean, listen, if it's testimony at trial and you have a strange or peculiar client in some way, that's something that you have to deal with in jury selection. We have to say, listen, this person may come in here and talk to you. They may not look normal. You promise us that you're not going to go against them just because they act strange. But listen, I've never been, thankfully, standing before a judge about to be sentenced to 2 to 7 years. Obviously, somebody, the DA and the judge, must have thought this person had some redeeming value, that they weren't going to send him away for longer than that.
Still haven't seen it. But Mayo, how about you? I mean, do you ever, when it comes to the sentencing phase, is it can't hurt at that point, or are there times where you're like, no, this guy's going to come off bad here. And if the judge was even having second thoughts, you know, they're going to go right at the window once this guy opens his mouth.
You can always hurt yourself, and you can help yourself, but it's a greater possibility of you harming yourself. You have to really weigh, you know, who your client is, how he or she comes across. Do they appear to be sincere? In federal court, lots of times you're trying to get acceptance of responsibility, and they get up and they may make one comment out of you know 5 minutes that were phenomenal, and that one comment raises an eyebrow, and the judge says, you know what, I'm not giving you any time off for acceptance of responsibility. But going back to Doug's point, 2 1/3 to 7 years for somebody who hasn't been to prison is a significant change in their life, significant period of time. The issue for me with respect to the matter is the fact that, the suggestion that she had conspired with these guys to kill her husband. So that's really the thing, is that it's much more than, hey, I fell in love with this guy, I had an affair I shouldn't have done, I helped get him out. But the plan was, we're going to run away together after you kill my husband. So all of those things make this sentence a fairly lenient sentence.
Yesterday, we saw, I believe in the state of Georgia, a woman put to death, not because she killed somebody, but that she paid off a guy to kill her husband, okay, who, by the way, the killer was not put to death. My point of this only is, there's the woman that was executed last night, is we've seen people as recently as yesterday executed for not taking life, but putting themselves in a situation where that could have happened. That fits this description to a T. And these two guys are convicted murderers that she released right out into the, the upper area of New York State to do, I think, rationally expected that they would have taken life to try and prevent from going back inside the walls.
There could have been a massacre.
Yeah.
These guys, when you read about them, there could have been a massacre if they had not been in hiding. If it's just, there was no telling, there was no stopping them from massacring anybody that they came in contact with. I mean, that really cannot be forgotten. I agree with you, but take away the conspiracy to murder her husband. Just that alone. You are a prison guard. You know why they're there. You know what they've done. You know their history.
Yep.
Well, you look in New York State, if you have criminal possession of a weapon for possessing a loaded gun and you don't have that license, 3.5 to 15 years. The 3.5 is a minimum.
And to me, Mayo, this was like loading a gun. You took two convicted guys, you broke them out of prison with an incentive to do anything that they could to avoid going back inside. And then we see, forget about the $23 million, the state's out.
How do you not charge her separately? So she's looking at 2 1/3 to 7 consecutively. I mean, she got a great deal, but just
and then she had the nerve to complain and say, "Just give me an ankle bracelet. I'm a good person."
An ankle bracelet, a screwdriver, and a thing. But just so you know, for this sentence, if you're the lawyer, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're getting the maximum.
Yeah.
Whatever she whatever she said.
Although
it
again,
wouldn't
she
matter.
works in the corrections department, so she is quasi law enforcement, or she certainly works with them all the time.
I don't think anybody wants to claim her, Mayo.
Except I will say this, that the politicians sometimes are thinking, am I going to get endorsed by this union? So that comes into play sometimes
any
too.
union's rushing to claim her. I think,
And she's not in danger. The inmates are going to love her.
All right, what do you think at home about this? Oh yeah, and here's our question. You can go over to Facebook and Twitter and give your take on it. Joyce Mitchell gets a maximum sentence of 7 years, but as you heard from the panel here, she could get as little as 2, probably no more than 4.5. Was this justice served, or did she get off really easy? All right, we come up next. A topic here we talked about on this program that recently has gotten a ton of attention. Police are using a new technology that can intercept your phone calls right from the towers, and you won't even have a single clue they're at it. And here's what's more. It won't just be limited to you. You could have neighbors innocent as the day here, and they too could be caught up in it as well. Is it a major privacy invasion or new technology that leads to good police work? We'll debate that at the table straight after this.